Hi, everybody. Happy Wellness Wednesday. Sorry, we're a couple minutes late. There is a lot of work going on over here at the Hawk Building where we are filming this, and haven't seen you guys in about a month, so I'm really happy to be with you today, talking about peace of mind by planning ahead and being a little bit at about a year into this whole COVID fiasco and stuff. So that background noise that you hear, you're probably going to hear it throughout, and I apologize for that. So let us know if you can't hear me, or if I need to talk louder, or if I need to scream my head off, I can do that. So welcome. So today's focus, so we're going to be checking in as we always do, and we'll be talking about the benefits of planning ahead. And then I have a really special guest named Chelsea Sabin. She's a coach advocate and out from Shasta County, a really good friend of mine that I asked to be a guest, who is on here every month cheerleading for me, and she's going to be talking a little bit as well about planning ahead and wellness and recovery. If I do seem like I lose my focus, you'll know that that's because of the sound, so please bear with me. So I just wanted to recognize that February is Black History Month, as I do with all of these, whatever month is going on. I'm not sure what we have coming up in March, but Black History has been fun. I watch The View every day, so every day they honor somebody, so it's really neat to see so many historical figures.
Women's History is next month.
And Women's History is next month, Brian just told me. Thank you, Brian Bishop. So in checking in, what does wellness look like to you? And let us all take a really big, deep breath. I'm gonna take a really big, deep breath because the noise is bothering me. However, being trained in meditation and mindfulness and stuff, in a second will be able to block it out. But what does wellness look like to you? What does wellness ideally look like to you in the future? What does it look like now? And even to see how far you've come, what did it look like just a couple years ago? Look where we were at just a year ago. I'm sorry. What did it look like just a year ago? How are you? How are you doing today on this February 24th, 2021? How are you doing? Are you okay? You know, that's one of my favorite things to ask is are you okay? And in asking somebody else, how can I support you? Yeah. So I'm going to tell you that I'll get to my check-in in a second, but I know that this seems maybe even a little adolescent, but really for some of us, if you can, Google, just some different emotions and ask yourself, where am I at today? Where am I at right now? Am I angry? Am I afraid? Do I feel sick? Am I amused, bored, anxious, confident, miserable, jealous, envious, stupid, confused, curious? So I'm going to look at this and I'm going to say that I'm amused. I'm amused, and I'm also very, very grateful. So I'm amused at the fact that it sounds like I am at the fair, and I'm grateful that I'm getting to do this wellness webinar with you guys today. So I haven't checked in with you guys since I think it was the end of December. So I got my COVID vaccine shots, the Moderna, and I posted it on Facebook as a live event. It was a really big deal to me. I know that we all have different thoughts on whether you should get it, whether you shouldn't, so I'm by no means, saying that you should or shouldn't. But for me in checking in, that was a big part of my life. January 12th, I got the first shot and had some bad reaction. They're getting closer with that hammer and that drill. Just so you know, I'm going to keep you guys aware of what's going on around me so that you also know why you might see me make faces or something. So talk about planning ahead. Maybe in the future I'll make sure that they're not renovating the Hawk when I do a wellness webinar. but I want to make levy of it so I can get this to be fun. Maybe we can drink a shot of apple cider every time we hear a drill. I don't know. But so I'll tell you that for the first vaccine, I was scared. I got it. I did have a reaction for about 8 to 12 hours of chills, flu-like symptoms. And then the second one that was then scheduled for February 8th, I spent about a month worrying about. And I'm sharing this for, you'll know why in a second. I spent about a month worried about it. I had even emailed Dewan, and we were going back and forth about trying to find if there was an after-hour numbers when you're feeling side effects, stuff like that. Because what I was doing was creating a plan for the second one. I had Benadryl ready, I had Tylenol ready, I had soups ready. I wasn't going to leave the house for the first 3 days. So I got the shot February 8th, and I hardly had any effects at all on the second one. I felt some anxiety, a couple times. So I was very blessed. But my point in that is that at home I have a sign up in my home office and my work office that I haven't seen yet, my new work office, but that says, Baltimore, 99.9% of everything you worry about doesn't come true. And it didn't. So even though I had all that fear and stuff, and I share that because I think we need to hear more stories and positive ones. What I had done was made other people's experiences my own. And I just knew that I was, going to go through hell, and I didn't. So all of our experiences are different with that, right? So that's why I'm sharing that. So the second picture you see, Sunny had a birthday. That's my granddaughter, and she turned 3. Many of you know who she is. Many of you are my Facebook friends. If not, feel free to send me an invite. And that is my son in the middle, Joshua, whose age doesn't matter because that will give my age away. So that's 3 generations right there. And then the third one is my dog, Corey. His full name is Corinthian, who I'm happy to say this past weekend, it was a bittersweet weekend because he got away. He got out through a hole in the fence, and he's blind. And as heartbroken as I was very happy that one of my sisters jumped in and picked up where I didn't have the energy to, and posted everywhere and blasted. Anyway, we got him back on Sunday. And they found him on Maroa and Dakota. They said doing 360s in the middle of the road because he kind of uses edges because he's blind. So anyway, that's been what's up with me. Of course, because we're still restricted pretty much to being at home. Haven't had too much going on, but just wanted to share a little bit, about what's been going on. So let me share a few quotes that have to do with planning ahead and get your guys's brain going, and mine. Life is all about how you handle plan B, and you see the mouse right there, right? And there's mouse traps everywhere, so he's got to have a plan B. I love that. I thought it was cute. And then thinking and planning ahead is a godlike power. Why? Men are victims of fate. Trapped in the moments, in their emotions, you defy fate with foresight. By Abiodun Ayotundi. I'm quite sure I didn't say that right. And then these next 2, planning of the next day's activities should be done a night before. This makes you not be distracted by people and events that do not contribute to the success of your dreams. Israel Moore Ayavar, Shaping the Dream. I want you to hear that sentence again. This makes you not to be distracted by people and events that do not contribute to the success of your dreams. If there's anything I've learned in the past year with COVID and everything else, is the true importance of surrounding ourselves with positive, supportive people who make our lives better. And when they don't, to do everything we can to get out of that situation. And then the last one, tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Mary Oliver. You know, my son and I both laughed about a year ago when he was going through something, and I was having a pep talk with him, and I said to him, I want you to get excited about your life. And I meant it. You know, I meant it. He's a lot younger than I am, of course, and watching him grow and stuff, you know, there's things as we get older, right? Lessons that we learn and stuff, and I just, you know, I love life, and I think that we should all hopefully be blessed to be in a place to feel excited about life, right? So let's move on to what are the benefits of planning ahead? Why did I even pick this? For one, I choose by suggestions that you guys send me through email, and I get ideas and stuff. And one of the things that keeps coming up lately is, for one, are we going back to work? Are we not going back to work, you know, physically? Are they just sending the people who are vaccinated back to work and the others not? Are they... how is my COVID reaction going to be? My vaccine reaction going to be? You know, what do I do? And I know for me in planning for the second vaccine shot, it made a big difference having a plan and reaching out to 3 different supporters and saying, can you support me in the next few days if I need to talk or if I need just to text and, you know, to tell you I'm scared or whatever. So I also want to note that we want to be very clear when we do ask our supporters for their support and what we need from them. One of my supporters did almost hourly say, are you feeling it yet? Are you okay? You know, and I'm like, no, I'm not feeling it yet, you know. And so we need to be very clear about what we wanted, because it would almost like go in my head, like, oh my God, it's coming. You know, that's a hammer. So less stress. Less stress. When you plan ahead your day, week, and month, you'll feel more in control of your day-to-day life. You really will. No more running around not knowing where to turn to, and when it comes to money, planning ahead will allow you to feel safe and be ready for the unforeseen costs that will inevitably happen in your life. I'm not talking like Susie Orman type of money, like you should have 2 years of whatever you make per month saved up and all that. I'm talking about whatever you deem necessary to have in your savings. Personally, I think it's, you know, a little egregious to think that most of us can have 2 years worth of savings up, but it would be nice, right? So, or grandiose thinking, I guess. So spending less time and money, leaving things for the last minute can cost you. It can cost you time, money, and most importantly, your sanity. So if you don't care about money and you have all this expendable income, then go for it. Go to Rite Aid and get your toilet paper and see how much it costs, as opposed to Costco or Walmart or somewhere else. So planning ahead can help you in those aspects. Here's a few reasons to plan ahead. You're more productive. You set realistic goals. You have less stress, as I mentioned. You develop discipline. You feel accomplished. And planning is bringing the future into the present so that you can do something about it now. And this goes on to what I love, which is don't put off until tomorrow what you can do today. I don't know about you guys, but I don't have the same energy level every single day, every single moment of the day. You know, Wednesdays and Fridays and Saturdays, I have this amount of energy. So I really, when I'm really full of energy and I want to do this and that, I take advantage of it. And I do what I can now, you know, in preparation so that if I don't feel like doing it tomorrow or this weekend, then I don't have to. But if you can get something today without, you know, running yourself mad, then get it done today. So most importantly, in every webinar that I have done is reminding you that you are the expert on yourself. When it comes to this right here that we're talking about, planning ahead, it's going to look different for all of us. The way Brian Bishop over here plans ahead, and the way that I do, and the way that our director does, and the way that my son does, I mean, we're all going to plan ahead differently to what makes us feel comfortable, right? And there are no right or wrong answers. You have to determine what works for you, and then that's your right answer. I'm really huge on not giving unsolicited advice, and I don't like it as well. So us being the experts on ourselves, you know, we need to learn what works best for us and what we can manage, what is manageable and feasible. So I reached out to many people in our department, and thank you to those who responded. I got about a 10% response, which is what I expected. And I wanted to see for others that work throughout the county, that work in behavioral health, that work around wellness and recovery, and in general, what people thought about planning ahead and tips that they might have had. So I called them words of wisdom. So I'm going to start with my own. So I used to use 2 or 3 calendars, physical calendars. And this one was for personal, and this one was for work, and this one was for this. And what I found after many years was it just did not work. I forgot doctor appointments. I forgot to send in leave requests. You know, different things, it just didn't work. So using one calendar for everything if you can. Again, this is what works for me. I use my Outlook calendar now. There is an option to set something to private. So if I have a doctor's appointment, I can put it on there and set it to private. You know, or something personal, I can set it to private, and then my supervisor, whoever, can see all the other stuff. So I'm able to just go to Outlook and get a daily or a weekly, you know, glance if I want. Preparing today for tomorrow as much as possible, for example. And I was sharing this with a couple people that said, oh my God, that's a really good idea. So something that I found is I used to spend a lot of time in the mornings going to Starbucks before work. And I would sometimes get frustrated because, of course, I really felt like every car should move out of the way and just allow me to go first because I needed to get to work, right? And I'm sure I'm not the only one that ever feels that way. But people didn't. When I got there, no, they didn't get out of the way. So sometimes I was behind 8 or 9 cars, and then I'm rushing to get to work. And so what I started doing was buying them the night before when I had plenty of time. And so I actually have a Yeti cup. If you ever want to freeze anything, not freeze it, but keep it cold, keep it hot. This is from Rita Mejia, but I didn't buy it. But they work the best. So you can get your drinks ahead of time. So that's just an example. When you know, say you're going to have a busy day the next day. Like today, knowing that I was going to be doing this wellness webinar, I didn't want to be rushed. I wanted to be able to focus on this and in preparation. And so that has really changed my life, believe it or not. I know it, Starbucks. No, it really is. But that could be for you, it could be your lunch. Going out every day and getting lunch. Maybe you get it ahead of time. Preparing meals ahead of time. People who know me know that if you come to my house, I may be cooking dinner already at 10 in the morning on the weekend to get it out of the way, get it done. Those kind of things. Shopping for food and necessities ahead of time so you don't run out. Asking your accountability partners for support. So, let's say that Brian over here is one of my accountability partners, and I say, hey, Brian, can you please make sure that I make a doctor's appointment on, by Friday? I really need to make sure that I go in or whatever. That's just an example. Having an alternative plan if you're stressed out about something not working. So kind of like that mouse, right? If you're stressed about something not working, then have an alternative plan so that you can rest your mind at ease knowing that, okay, well, if that doesn't happen, I always have this. So the next one, this is from Lucia Aguilar. Monthly planning. Week 1, planning what you hope to accomplish in that month. Week 2 and 3, the bulk of your tasks completed in week 2 and 3. And then week 4, tying up loose ends or wrapping things up. Lucia shared that with us. Karen Shoji said, I'm old school. I still work things out with pen and paper first most of the time. Just being able to jot things down as they come to mind helps me sort stuff out and prioritize as I see them on paper. Sometimes I even scribble in on the side of the page things that could go wrong or also need to be considered. Then it's easier to put together an actual plan or calendar an item. Karen Shoji. Sandy Medina says, put everything on your Outlook calendar with an exclamation mark. I agree, Sandy. Everything, she says, and view it daily. Then set a recurring meeting for each task that must be completed on a regular basis, like your timesheet. It will keep you on track for leave requests, schedule conflicts, trainings, etc. Look ahead and begin thinking about vacations. It feels good to have a plan. And remembering, we're all different, right? You just saw an example of that. Karen writes things down, Sandy's putting it on Outlook, and if you're not familiar with Outlook, please try and see all the great, wonderful things it can do. Milagro Arivalo said, I make room for plans to change. I set small goals. I try to take care of the least fun task first. I keep the mindset that it's okay if the daily plan or goal isn't met. I celebrate when my daily task is done by doing something fun, like reading, TV, painting, FaceTime with a friend. And that was from Mila. And we got 2 more. So Myra Alcala says, something that really helps me, I keep a journal of sorts with all my assignments, projects that I'm working on or due per week. Every Monday, I will list what I have going on that week, meetings, trainings, what's due, or continuous projects. I will add as the days of the week go on. So keeping the list not only helps with my meetings with my supervisors as to what I have on my plate, but it also helps in crossing off things as they are complete. The crossing off is the best part as it gives me a sense of completion. I started this about a year ago and has helped me tremendously. And last but not least, this is from Rita. So Rita is not short on words. Those of you that know her know that. I love you, Rita, if you're watching. On planning ahead, this speaks to me bigly, to quote Theo Bernie Sanders. Planning can be days, months, or years ahead of time, or it can be in the moment. I just helped one of my parents complete their advanced directive, and this brought a sense of peace because everything is planned for medical decisions that need to be made. And for me, it is a bit different. Each night, part of my plan is to meditate and pray. First, I lay flat on my back on the carpet in our bedroom, breathe, and align my 7 chakras in my body from an Eastern practice. This brings me physical peace. I rub my stomach, then lightly stretch. After that, I kneel and share my gratitude and begin to pray. I also listen to music that evokes peace every day. Right now, I am revisiting some music I listened to long ago. It is a homeless man singing, Jesus, Blood Never Failed Me Yet, and the composer, Gavin Bryars, put this on a loop. So the listener hears this repeatedly, then a chorus is mixed in, then a symphony, then Tom Waits, the homeless man, passed away before this was published, and his legacy lives on through this. Listening to this on repeat is cathartic and moves me into intense peace. Each time I hear the words, I feel closer to this man and to God. His faith becomes one with me, and I feel complete peace, and I move so deeply. I can listen to this song on repeat for hours at a time. Ria Mahita. So what I did was I gave you guys everybody's words exactly as they were sent to me. And I did that for a reason, so that you could get a sense of how different planning ahead and what that means is to everybody, right? So here we go. So we have now our special guest, Chelsea Sabin. And although she's one of my greatest, dearest friends, I'm gonna have to ask her how she pronounces her last name. So I'm going to put these headphones on and we're going to switch over. If you can give me 1 second. Okay, let's get Chelsea on here. There she is. Hi, Chelsea. Can you hear me?
Hi, Baltimore.
Hi, good
I can hear
afternoon.
you. Can you hear me?
I can, yes. Brian, are we okay on the sound?
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. Chelsea, so happy to have you. I know I was going to get you on sooner. Thank you for being patient and waiting with us. So how are you doing today, Chelsea?
I am doing well. It's been a busy day, but otherwise I'm doing good. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you for
So,
inviting me.
of course, yes, I've been looking forward to having you on. And as I mentioned, Chelsea, you're a coach advocate in Shasta County, correct? Awesome. Was there anything else
Yes,
you
that's
wanted to
correct.
share about you and who you are?
Well, I've been doing work with rap for about 9 years when I was first introduced to it. And I took my first official rap group about 6 years ago, and I've been an advanced level facilitator for the last 4 years.
Yes, you have, and I forgot that part. So everybody, that's how Chelsea and I met as fellow Alfs. And Chelsea, how do you pronounce your last name?
It's Sabin.
Sabin, okay. I almost made you into Chelsea Sabine and all these other really fancy things. But so Chelsea, are
That's
you
okay.
okay
It
with me?
happens.
Are you okay with me asking you a few questions?
Yeah, for sure. I just want to let you know that I'm getting a notification on my screen that my internet is unstable. So I'm sorry if I cut out a little bit.
Okay, well that's nothing compared to the hammering and drilling and everything in our background. Can you hear that?
Yeah, I
So,
can.
yeah. So, Chelsea, can you share why you think planning is important and how it has impacted your life?
I really like this topic because planning, specifically when we talked about crisis planning and rap, kind of freaked me out a little bit. And it's something that I avoided doing for a long time. And I'm not sure what exactly that was about, but it took me a couple years before I really even thought about planning or crisis planning until I realized that, there's lots of things that I plan. I plan what I'm going to eat. I plan my work schedule. I plan, um, my kids' school schedule and doing homework. I plan life. Even things like having insurance, that's planning for the unexpected. And then eventually I had struggled with some seasonal depression. It gets really cold up here, and we get snow, and then the shorter days and being stuck inside and all of that. I finally one day realized I need a plan for this. And so I I started planning in the fall time to start taking different supplements and vitamins and getting a different type of exercise when I can't be outside as much. Um, and I noticed a huge difference that following winter in how I felt. And I've continued to do that. And that I've continued to do that plan, carry out that plan every winter since. And it's made a huge impact on my wellness, um, to the point that I don't really even get concerned about seasonal depression anymore. And that's something that I've dealt with since I was probably like 10 years old, since I was a kid. Um, and then I also realized that planning is, for me, is has become a wellness tool in itself. I love planning vacations. I love planning yard work. I know that sounds kind of silly, but I like working in my yard and gardening and planting flowers. So this time of year, it's still really cold up here and I can't plant anything for a couple more months, but this time of year I start getting excited about it and I start planning for it. And I start planning the vegetables I want to plant in my garden and what kind of flowers. And I was talking earlier about what kind of bulbs I want to put in my flower bed. So it gives me something to look forward to and something to get excited about. And that in itself can bring so much hope for if anytime we have something to look forward to and something in the future that we're excited for, it's hopeful. And I think that in itself is a part of what makes planning so valuable because it can give us hope.
Agree. Well said, Chelsea. And that's a really good example. Thank you for sharing about that personal part of you with the seasonal depression, and how that has helped you to feel better having a plan now and how that, offers hope. So, you talked a little bit about the crisis stage already, about not getting, to it, but would you say that you feel it avoids getting you to a crisis stage, having a plan?
Yeah, absolutely. I can remember lots and lots of winters in my life where I really, really struggled with, being very emotional and very depressed and things that I didn't like, just general feeling uncomfortable in my own skin because I just was unwell. Actually, say the majority of my life, I felt that way in the winter. Um, I remember my mom often telling me it's okay to take a mental health day and stay home from school because I would just get so overwhelmed. And it usually hit around the same time of year, January, February. Um,
That your
but
mom
I
was
would say
supportive?
for the last probably at least 4 years, maybe three, for the last maybe 3 or 4 years, I really have not had depression in the wintertime. I have my moments, we all have our moments, but I have these plans in place. I have a light on my desk that I use occasionally. I don't know what they're called. I think it's called a sad light. I use one of those and I take supplements and I take supplements to help me sleep, like melatonin, and that sort of thing, because my sleep schedule gets disrupted. And I really haven't struggled the way that I used to. And I look back and I think, wow, if I'd have known about this when I was young and had started implementing these things when I was very young, I could have avoided so many times of just really, really struggling and feeling poorly. Um, so yeah, it absolutely has helped me to avoid a crisis.
Well, and then where you live, you've had what, snow for like 2 months already? Like it's a lot
Yeah, we've had
colder
some.
than here.
It is very cold here. We've had snow off and on. Right now, it's all rained off, but it's supposed to snow again in a couple of days.
So yeah, I admire, the pictures and stuff of where you live, and it's definitely beautiful, but I know that it's cold over there.
Thank you. It is beautiful.
So let me ask you this: how in this past year and the time of living with COVID and the political chaos and everything we've gone through, um, how would you say planning has assisted you in remaining hopeful during these trying times that we've all been a part of? How has planning kept you hopeful?
Well, like I said before, anytime I have something to look forward to, I feel hopeful. Um, and I think right now there's so much that's outside of our control. For the whole last year, there's just there's COVID and there's political stuff and there's personal things and you know things being closed down and um, we all know the huge amount of things that are so uncertain and outside of our control. Um, but when we have a way to plan for something that gives us whatever that looks like for each person, like I said, for me right now, I'm planning gardening and planning on working in my yard as soon as the weather allows. Um, that gives me a sense of control when things feel out of control. So there's there's so much that's out of our control and we can't plan for. I don't know. I can't plan for, things getting shut down and that sort of thing. I mean, I can to a degree, but it's not within my control. So when I have those other things in place and I have, in addition to that, plans in place for working from home versus working on site or um, being able to travel or not being able to travel or my kids being at home versus being in school, I have those things set up. So those things that I have planned and set in place for me and my life have given me that sense of control and knowing that everything is going to be okay because I prepared for it. And yeah, that's part of what hope is knowing that you're going to make it through. For me, that's part of what hope is, knowing I'm going to make it through it and looking forward to getting past these challenges.
Chelsea, this is why I love you. Just hearing you speak is so uplifting and hopeful in and of itself. And you and I have in common that with living with depression and all that, that it's that kind of different kind of depression, not like the commercial, laying in bed and crying and, eating chocolate you know, um, and I think that's what's brought us so close together. And you know that recently I did a vision board. And
Hmm.
I do find now that every time I walk out of my room and I see these things, um, it makes me smile because I'm looking forward now to that vacation, that retreat, whatever it is. So even to force myself to get somewhere, I did an ice cream bucket. I'm not sure if I told you, with Gorilla Glue, so it cannot be opened. And just put, like, if I have loose change, a couple dollars, that are in my pocket, I'll throw it in there. So when it gets filled, I have to, and my son is my accountability partner. We have to go somewhere out of Fresno. So we may show up in Shasta County and go visit you. But
Okay.
so last but not least, Chelsea, I wanted to ask you, during these times and when people hear about wellness and stuff, that might be feeling a little skeptical about the thoughts of wellness and recovery, when it comes to their own planning, when they're planning of their own journey of wellness. What might you say to somebody who's feeling a bit skeptical?
Uh, to somebody who's feeling a bit skeptical.
Maybe just
Well,
doesn't
I
have
think
hope.
we Somebody who doesn't have hope. Okay.
Better way of
Well,
phrasing it.
okay. Well, I think we can all use wellness. Wellness is something that's beneficial for every single person on the planet. And no matter what we're going through, um, we we can we can make the choices to take control of our lives and do what it is that we need to do. Each of us can make those plans and find those wellness tools and do it at our own pace. An expert on, we don't have to be our own expert in expert time. Like I said, it took me a couple years before I even really started diving into planning and, well, crisis planning. And when I did, it led me to realize how many things that I can plan for and how beneficial it is, and that it's a wellness tool for me. So, we don't have to have all the answers right now. We can do a little bit here and there. We can work on our plans, our crisis plans, um, one day a week, or put it down until we're just feeling well, and come back to it later. But it's definitely something that, like I said before, I feel like for me, planning gives me that sense of control when things are out of control, and it brings me hope, something to look forward to in the future. It's very empowering. It gives us the opportunity to take personal responsibility for our lives and not leave it up to chance. So for me, that those are examples of why it's hopeful for me. And I would just share with somebody who's not feeling hopeful and somebody who's skeptical about planning. I would just share my experience and hope that it inspires them to consider it and work on their own wellness in their own time and how they would like to.
Chelsea, you just brought up what a beautiful answer to that question, but you just brought up a really good point, which is us being the experts on ourselves is sometimes a journey of figuring out what that means. Because we may
Absolutely.
not know right now what is best for us. So thank you. That just like clicked in my head that I tend to throw out there a lot. You're the expert on yourself, and which I do believe. But yeah, for some of us, it's a journey of getting to know what is best for us, maybe through trial and error, or learning from others, listening to others, you know. Yeah, so thank you. So, Chelsea, do you have any final thoughts you want to share with us?
I just also wanted to say, in regards to being our own experts, we absolutely all are, and it is a journey, but also it's a lifelong journey. I think that wellness and what works for us changes. We change as people, we grow, our circumstances change. And so it's okay to let go of a plan that stopped working, or change, make adjustments to it, or tools that we use. If they no longer support our wellness, it's okay to let those go and try something different. So it's a never ending process. It's fun, and it should be fun. Learning about ourselves and what gets us excited, and what keeps us well, and what makes us happy and inspired to move forward. Those things are fun. So I would also say, just have fun with it. Have fun with your wellness.
Yeah, I agree with you, Chelsea. It can be fun, in teaching rap and stuff, facilitating. I love learning what I can change. And people have told me in the past they found that a little bit funny, that I'm almost excited when I learn, oh, I've been doing this wrong, or I could do this differently. But it's an excitement of, I just learned how to do something new and make my life better. But Chelsea, I love and adore you. Namaste. Thank you for being with us today, and I will talk to you later.
All right, some more.
All right. Thank you so much for being with us. So you can see why I absolutely adore Chelsea, and she said such great things, and I find her to be so inspiring. And if you have any questions, you can please email them to me. I think most of you are more comfortable emailing me questions and thoughts, and that's okay. But you can also post them on YouTube right now. Our next wellness webinar will be March 17th, 2021, from 12 to 1. And let's all keep our fingers crossed that they are not working on the building that day. But it goes to show that even with planning, what is the saying? Best laid plans of mice and men often go astray. Things come up, right? And we have to be mentally prepared for them. And so I don't think that most things happen by accident. But I appreciate Chelsea being with us today. As always, I appreciate Brian Bishop, who, if not for him, we wouldn't have any of this going. And I will see you guys next month on March 17th. Thank you for being with us today.